What have archaeologists been up to recently? Well, that's a good question, and you're in the right place to find out the answer. Archaeologists have been working as hard as they always do all over the world in recent times, and some of the things they've discovered are truly remarkable. Only the very best of these discoveries make it into videos on this channel, so sit back and enjoy this highlight reel featuring the best of those recent finds. Mausoleum of the First Qin Emperor. The first fragments of warriors and bronze arrowheads were discovered by Yang Jifa, his 5 brothers, and Wang Puji, who were digging a well in March 1974 in Ziyang, a village of the Lingtong County. At a depth of around 2 meters, they found hardened dirt, then red earthenware, fragments of terracotta, bronze arrowheads, and terracotta bricks. Yang Jifa threw the fragments of terracotta in the corner of the field and collected the arrowheads to sell them to a commercial agency. Other villagers took terracotta bricks to make pillows. A manager in charge of the hydraulic works, Fang Shumiao, saw the objects found and suggested to the villagers that they sell them to the cultural center of the district. Yang Jifa received, for 2 carts of fragments of what would turn out to be terracotta warriors, the amount of 10 yuan. Zhao Kangmin, responsible for the cultural center, then came to the village and bought everything that the villagers uncovered, as well as repurchasing the arrowheads sold to the commercial agency. In May 1976, Pit 2 was discovered by drilling, and in July the Pit 3. The excavations over an area of 20,000 square meters produced about 7,000 statues of terracotta warriors and horses, and about 100 wooden battle chariots and numerous weapons. Large structures have been erected to protect the pits. The first was finished in 1979. The larger necropolis of 600 pits was uncovered by 2008. Some pits were found a few kilometers away from the mound of the tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang. The Khat Shabib, Jordan. The Khat Shabib is an ancient wall in southern Jordan. The remains of the wall are 150 kilometers long, making it the longest linear archaeological site in Jordan. The archaeological ruins were first identified by British diplomat Sir Alec Kirkbride in 1948. Ever since, a range of disciplines, including archaeologists, scientists, and anthropologists, have studied the wall. The date of the Khat Shabib's construction is still unknown. However, it has been widely debated by archaeologists. This is evident as some archaeologists argue that the wall was built in the Iron Age, whilst others argue it was constructed in the Nabatean period. The Khat Shabib was built and used by the semi-nomadic Bedouin people, whose livelihoods consisted of herding and farming in the harsh, arid environment of the Jordan Desert. The Khat Shabib was not used for military purposes. Rather, the ancient wall served as a border. At the time of its construction, the wall was approximately no taller than 1.5 meters high. Due to various threats to the integrity of the wall, including climatic issues and growing population pressures, the wall is significantly smaller. The Khat Shabib has gained increasing attention amongst archaeologists. The leading method of studying the wall is aerial archaeology, and multiple international archaeological organizations have established projects in order to understand and discover more about the wall. Antikythera mechanism, Greece. The original mechanism apparently came out of the Mediterranean as a single encrusted piece. Soon afterwards, it fractured into 3 major pieces. Other small pieces have broken off in the interim from cleaning and handling, and others were found on the seafloor by the Cousteau expedition. Other fragments may still be in storage, undiscovered since their initial recovery. Fragment F was discovered in that way in 2005. Of the 82 known fragments, 7 are mechanically significant and contain the majority of the mechanism and inscriptions. There are also 16 smaller parts that contain fractional and incomplete inscriptions. All of the items retrieved from the wreckage were transferred to the National Museum of Archaeology in Athens for storage and analysis. The mechanism appeared to be a lump of corroded bronze and wood. It went unnoticed for 2 years, while museum staff worked on piecing together more obvious treasures, such as the statues. Upon removal from seawater, the mechanism was not treated, resulting in deformational changes. On 17 May 1902, archaeologist Valerius Stais found that one of the pieces of rock and a gear wheel embedded in it. He initially believed that it was an astronomical clock, but most scholars believed the device to be prochronistic. too complex to have been constructed during the same period as the other pieces that had been discovered. The Cocknow Stone, Scotland. The Cocknow Stone, West Dunbartonshire, is one of the most extensive and remarkable prehistoric rock art panels in Britain. It was, however, buried by archaeologists in 1964 to protect it from vandalism associated with visitors and encroaching urbanization. A proposal has been developed to uncover the stone and laser scan it to allow an exact replica to be created and placed in the landscape near where the original site is. In order to do this, it was felt that an initial trial excavation should take place in order to assess the condition of the stone and the nature of its burial. This work was undertaken in early September 2015. The Cocknow Stone was found to be buried less deeply than claimed, and the wall surrounding it appears to have partially collapsed or been pushed over. The stone itself was uncovered, and rock art, as well as 20th century graffiti and damage to the stone, was recorded. Recommendations for the next phase of the project can now be made, and the future plans for the stone opened up for dialogue. Some international parallels for these symbols were found, and they were considered as being contemporary with the prehistoric rock art as opposed to modern additions. However, it is as likely that the cross and petrosomatoglyph are much more modern additions. The fate of the cast is unknown, sadly. Soon the stone became something of a tourist attraction, and a wall with at least one style was constructed around it at some point to control entry. The few photos of the Cocknow Stone, mostly from the 1930s, show visitors walking over the stone, usually from learned societies, and this may well have contributed to damage to the stone, which subsequently led to its burial. Roman dodecahedrons worldwide. In 1979, a strange 12-sided hollow object from Roman times was discovered in England. Since then, more than 100 dodecahedrons have been unearthed, but their purpose remains unknown. The only thing we know for sure is where they were found, which points to a Gallo-Roman connection. Roman dodecahedrons, or more properly called Gallo-Roman dodecahedrons, are 12-sided hollow objects, each side pentagonal in shape and almost always contain a hole. The outer edges generally feature rounded protrusions. Most of the objects are made from bronze, but some are in stone and don't have holes or knobs. The dodecahedrons are often fist-sized, yet can vary in height from 4 to 11 centimeters. The size of the holes also varies from 6 to 40 millimeters. Two opposing holes typically are of differing sizes. Objects of this type were unknown until the first one was found in 1739 in Aston, Hertfordshire. In all, 116 have been dug up from sites as far apart as northern England and Hungary. But most have been found in Gaul, particularly in the Rhine Basin, in what is now Switzerland, eastern France, southern Germany, and the Low Countries. Some were found in coin hoards, indicating their owners considered them valuable. Most can be dated to the 2nd and 3rd century AD. The Copper Scroll, Jordan. The Copper Scroll is one of the Dead Sea Scrolls found in Cave 3 near Khirbet, Qumran, but differs significantly from the others. Whereas the other scrolls are written on parchment or papyrus, this scroll was written on metal. The so-called scrolls of copper were, in reality, two separated sections of what was originally a single scroll about 8 feet in length. Unlike the others, it is not a literary work, but a list of 64 places where various items of gold and silver were buried or hidden. It differs from the other scrolls in its Hebrew. Since 2013, the Copper Scroll has been on display at the newly opened Jordan Museum in Amman, after being moved from its previous home, the Jordan Archaeological Museum in Amman's Citadel Hill. The text is an inventory of 64 locations, 63 of which are treasures of gold and silver, which have been estimated in the tons. For example, one single location described on the Copper Scroll describes 900 talents, 868,000 troy ounces, of buried gold. Tithing vessels are also listed among the entries, along with other vessels, and 3 locations featured scrolls. One entry apparently mentions priestly vestments. The final listing points to a duplicate document with additional details. That other document has not been found. Göbekli Tepe, Turkey. Located in the Jurmis Mountains of southeastern Anatolia, this property presents monumental round-oval and rectangular megalithic structures erected by hunter-gatherers in the pre-pottery Neolithic age between 9600 and 8200 BCE. These monuments were probably used in connection with rituals, most likely of a funerary nature. Distinctive T-shaped pillars are carved with images of wild animals, providing insight into the way of life and beliefs of people living in Upper Mesopotamia about 11,500 years ago. Göbekli Tepe, which predates Stonehenge by some 6,000 years, was first investigated in the 1960s, but was dismissed as a medieval cemetery. It was explored again in the 1990s, when its true age, which was estimated by comparing the remnants of tools discovered at the site with those that had been carbon dated from nearby sites, was revealed. The remains of undomesticated plant material and tens of thousands of wild animal bones have been uncovered there, but the lack of trash pits, hearths, or other signals of domestic life indicates that it was most likely not a permanent settlement. Most experts instead identify it as a ritual site, one that may have attracted worshippers from great distances. Because remains at the site indicate that Göbekli Tepe was constructed by hunter-gatherers, the presence of such quantities of wild animal bones indicates that they had not yet domesticated animals or begun farming. The site has prompted some to reconsider the relationship between settlement and socio-cultural development. Although it has long been presumed that settlement was a prerequisite for the construction of temples and the development of complex social systems, the work needed to construct Göbekli Tepe would have required that a large number of builders be housed and fed in one place, meaning that the coordinated effort may have necessitated settlement, not followed it. Superhenge, UK. The remains of a massive stone monument, 15 times the size of Stonehenge and located just 2 miles away from the famous site, were recently discovered by British archaeologists. The stone monoliths were found buried beneath the bank of the Durrington Walls, Superhenge, one of the largest known henges in the UK, and could have been part of a huge Neolithic monument, the researchers said. Researchers believe the area, built about 4,600 years ago, was a settlement of up to 1,000 houses, home to about 4,000 people. Some have theorized it was where the people who built Stonehenge lived. Archaeologists remain unsure about the purpose of the original 90 stones, although it may have made up part of a Neolithic monument. Neither do they know why the stones were later intentionally buried. It is not yet clear whether the stones were put in place at the same time as those of Stonehenge, nor do the researchers know how the stones were used. However, those who study the mysterious rock monuments of the UK previously thought that only Stonehenge and one smaller henge, located near the famous monument, featured significant stone monuments. Now they know that isn't the case. Thonis Heraklion, Egypt. The Egyptian port city of Thonis Heraklion served as the gateway to the Mediterranean, with origins dating to the 12th century BC. Before the discovery of the ruins, many archaeologists had thought Thonis and Heraklion were two separate cities on the Egyptian mainland, which had long been lost to the mists of time because it was barely mentioned in ancient texts. In 1933, an RAF commander flying over Abu Qir Bay near Alexandria reported that he had seen ruins under the water from his bird's-eye view. It wasn't until 1999 that French underwater archaeologist Franck Godiot began a 5-year excavation of the site, turning up coins, pottery, and a statue of the Queen Arsinoe II. Later excavations found an ancient Nile River boat, temple, bridges, statues, and sarcophagi. It is thought that earthquakes, tsunamis, floods, and soil liquefaction caused the city to sink beneath the sea. It is estimated that only 5% of the city has been excavated so far. Sacsayhuaman, Peru. As with Britain's Stonehenge, Sacsayhuaman continues to present a head-scratcher to archaeologists trying to figure out how the ancient civilization moved and placed the 100-ton stones at the site. Although it was built in the 15th century, the site is thought to have been inhabited since 900 AD. The best-known zone of Sacsayhuaman includes its Great Plaza and its adjacent 3 massive terrace walls. The stones used in the construction of these terraces are among the largest used in any building in pre-Hispanic America. They display a precision of cutting and fitting that is unmatched in the Americas. The stones are so closely spaced that a single piece of paper will not fit between many of the stones. This precision, combined with the rounded corners of the blocks, the variety of their interlocking shapes, and the way the walls lean inward, is thought to have helped the ruins survive devastating earthquakes in Cuzco. The longest of the three walls is about 400 meters. They are about 6 meters tall. The estimated volume of stone is over 6,000 cubic meters. Estimates for the weight of the largest andesite block vary from 128 tons to almost 200 tons. Cleopatra's Tomb. Underneath a temple in the ancient ruined city of Taposiris Magna on the Egyptian coast, archaeologists have uncovered a vast, spectacular tunnel that experts are referring to as a geometric miracle. The long-lost tomb of Antony and Cleopatra, the burial crypt of Mark Antony and Cleopatra VII from 30 BC, remains undiscovered somewhere near Alexandria, Egypt. According to historians Suetonius and Plutarch, the Roman leader Octavian permitted their burial together after he had defeated them. Their surviving children were taken to Rome to be raised as Roman citizens. In early November 2022, the team of archaeologists led by Martinez identified a 1,300-meter-long tunnel in the area of the Temple of Taposiris Magna, west of Alexandria, that could lead to Cleopatra's tomb. If we did not discover the tomb of Cleopatra and Mark Antony, we made major discoveries here, inside the temple and outside the temple. Atlantis. The lost city of Atlantis has been discovered in the Bahamas, the Greek islands, Cuba, and even Japan, if every claim was to be believed. First described by the ancient Greek historian Plato in 360 BC, the mythological island was supposedly a great naval power before sinking into the sea over 10,000 years ago in a catastrophic event. Archaeologists debate the actual historical existence of the island, as well as its most plausible location if it ever actually existed among the many sunken ruins discovered around the world. But even without definitive proof, Atlantis continues to engage the popular imagination like few other archaeological mysteries out there. Thank you guys, and that's it in today's video. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be the first one to know when a new video comes out. We'll see you in the next video.